global-level study by the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations says that 1/3 of food, roughly 1.3 billion tonnes, is wasted every year.
Yes, but it's also estimated that about 815 million people in the world are suffering from chronic undernourishment.
Yeah, so for this week's podcast on English.com Business Podcast, we're looking at organisations who are addressing the difference.
Yes. Now let's start in India, where almost 190 million people go to sleep every day hungry.
Now, you know India very well, Richard. There's a huge difference, isn't there, between the haves and have-nots?
Yes, there is indeed. And back in 2014, an initiative called No Food Waste was started.
No food waste.
Yes, it's a very simple idea. It aims to redistribute excess food from weddings, parties, events, etc., where the people overorder the food.
Right.
And they give that excess food to the hungry.
So it's the uneaten food.
Yes, but obviously hygiene standards are very, very important. So it's untouched, edible, surplus food. So it's not half-eaten or spoiled stuff.
Right, and it's not thrown away.
Exactly.
Well, that's interesting, Richard, because closer to home in Europe, a Danish organisation started Too Good To Go in 2015. Now, again, they aim to reduce food waste and also redistribute surplus food. But in their case, it's food that's not sold. It's a B2C.
B2C, okay, business to consumer.
So in this case, the business is things like grocery stores, bakers, pizzerias, restaurants and markets, etc.
Right, okay, so that sounds good, but how does it actually work?
It's all through a free mobile application. The retailers display on the app what sort of food, baked food, meals, any kind of produce, etc., is available within a certain radius and a specified time slot, usually of 30 minutes or more.
So how does that actually work in practice then?
For example, a grocery store realises at the end of the day it has a load of fruit that needs selling immediately, right? So they box up a variety of things and they advertise it on the app. They give the weight of the box, the original price the fruit goes for, and the reduced price.
Right.
So a local customer sees that it's available from, let's say, 5 to 5:30 p.m. They want the box, they pay over the phone, and then they go and collect it.
Yeah, so the grocer doesn't throw the food away and the customer gets a good deal.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy.
Yeah, however, the customer doesn't know exactly what's in the box. It's a bit of potluck.
Sounds simple.
I actually quite like the element of surprise, Richard. So you take a baker, for example. Towards the end of the day, they've got a load of cakes, buns, pastries, etc. still available. So they box these up. They say that originally they're worth €12, but if someone collects them in the afternoon, late afternoon, they can have them for $3.99.
That reminds me of when I was a lad, coming home from school, I used to pop into the baker's shop and they used to give me free Staleys, which they hadn't sold during the day.
Well, hopefully this food isn't actually stale. But yes, I mean, everyone's been benefiting, So I think if you have a business that sells produce with a use-by date, then I think you should check out the app.
Yes, so the consumers save money and it prevents waste, so everyone's happy.
Let's break down some important idioms and phrases.
The haves and the have-nots. Meaning, this phrase refers to people who are wealthy or privileged, the haves, and those who are poor or deprived, the have-nots. Example, in India, there's a large gap between the haves and the have-nots, making food redistribution initiatives even more critical. Go to sleep hungry. Meaning, a simple but vivid phrase that conveys not having enough to eat by the end of the day. It emphasizes the harsh reality of hunger. Example, nearly 190 million people in India go to sleep hungry every day. Uneaten food. meaning this refers to food that has been prepared but not consumed. In this context, it's important to mention that this food is still edible and untouched. Example: no food waste redistributes uneaten food from events like weddings and parties to people in need. Box up, meaning to pack items, such as food, into a box or container for storage or transport. Example: grocery stores box up surplus fruit and advertise it on the app for local customers. Potluck, meaning a situation where the outcome is uncertain, often involving food where participants don't know exactly what they will receive. Example: the customer buying a discounted box of food doesn't know exactly what's in it, so it's a bit of potluck. Element of surprise, meaning an unexpected twist that can either be enjoyable or risky, adding excitement or unpredictability to a situation. Example: the element of surprise in Too Good to Go boxes can be exciting for customers, as they get to see what food they end up with. Everyone's happy, meaning this idiom is used to express a win-win situation where all parties involved are satisfied with the outcome. Example: in this case, the grocer doesn't waste food, the customer gets a deal, and everyone's happy. That brings us to the end of this episode of the English Daily Podcast and English.com Business Podcast. We've covered some inspiring solutions to tackle food waste, from India's No Food Waste initiative to Denmark's Too Good to Go app. These efforts show us that we can all play a part in reducing waste and making a difference in the lives of those in need. Thank you so much for listening, and a big shout out to my co-host Richard. We'll be back soon with more conversations on important global issues. Until then, keep learning, stay inspired, and remember, small actions can lead to big changes. See you next time. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who might find it helpful. Together, we can raise awareness and take steps toward a more sustainable future.